I've been showing horses my whole life. Started out 4-H, open show, all that.
Growing up, we kept our horses basically at a dairy barn, and I rode in a field and I shipped them to lessons.
I had been around horses and I always liked riding, but we didn't own a horse or have access to horse shows or things like that.
The Intercollegiate Horse Shows Association is a group of colleges. We have approximately 400 with 10,000 students, and our only main criteria is that any college student that has a desire to ride a horse has the opportunity to do so. We try to eliminate any gender equities or financial equities. We try to make it as affordable as possible so all college students, from walk-trot beginner riders to open riders, have a chance to ride in college on a team. And we're going to place you in a class where we think you can succeed and let you grow and develop.
Growing up, I always knew that I wanted to ride in college, and one of my mentors encouraged me to look at programs that had IHSA teams.
You don't have to own a horse, you don't have to own any of the tack or equipment. Horses are provided for the riders. When you get there, you draw and are assigned a horse that day. You get no time to warm it up, no time to practice with the animal. Hop on, show it, and compete against other riders in the same situation.
They break the country up into zones and regions, and you create a team at your school, or it's already created for you and you join it. Where I went to school, it was actually part of their athletic program. So the school supported the team well. And it was a great way to compete with horses in college.
The IHSA was formed by a gentleman named Bob Cascione. When he was in college, and his father said, we can't afford to send you away and send horses with you. So Bob went to Fairleigh Dickinson University in 1967, and he formed a club. He went out and found a barn and said, if I can get a free ride and ride horses, I'll bring students over and they can ride and pay you. And the gentleman did that, and soon Bob had like 30 kids participating. And so they got together and had a first horse show. And that's how the IHSA started. And Bob wrote a small piece in the Chronicle of the Horse. And from there, it grew to 8 or 9 colleges and just has never stopped and has grown like a weed because the IHSA is something that any college can put together. It's a very simple program. You can have it as a club sport, or you can be a varsity team, you can, so many options for colleges to run to make this happen. It's a great diversity sport because, as we said, men and women compete equally. The Intercollegiate Horse Show Association, to me, is one of the finest organizations for young people that love horses to participate in when they go to college. I'm a father of 2 girls who went through the IHSA in college. They both rode for Centenary University and both were captains there and are now very productive, active professionals in the horse industry. The things they learned in college, the ability to work with others, being on a team, the responsibilities that you gain being on a team because you have to, everybody has a role, have helped them in their professional career. Being at West Point, which I'm the coach at the United States Military Academy, I have a lot of kids that are not experienced riders, young men who are 18 who come to West Point and they hear there's an equestrian team and they say, can I try out? And we say, of course. And we take 3 or 4 a year. To see them win their first blue ribbon, it's so exciting. And when you're teaching them and the light bulbs go off in their head and they finally understand what you're trying to teach them, it's so gratifying. I raced harness horses for the first 20 years of my life. And when I had my first child, my wife and I made a decision that we wanted something, excuse the pun, with a little more stability. So I applied as a lark for the manager's position at the United States Military Academy, figuring they'd never hire me, but they did. And I've been there now 36 years. At one of our horse shows, Bob came And we talked, and he watched me all day, and he came up to me at the end of the day and said, you know, from time to time, I need help with projects. Could I reach out to you? I said yes. And in all honesty, it's one of the greatest things I've ever done. Between my wife and my children, the things that you get to do to help these kids and the rewards of it are so much. We have, I would say, 2/3 of our coaches in the IHSA are students who rode in the IHSA who came back because they wanted to give back and they wanted to continue on what they're doing because it's so rewarding. You know, it's just amazing how we've intermingled and places you go and people you meet that have been touched by the Intercollegiate. You know, we've had the great pleasure of having 4 Olympians, BZ Madden, Greg Best, Peter Wild, Mark Weisberger, who came through the IHSA.
The Intercollegiate Horse Shows Association, also known as the IHSA, is an organization that facilitates college riding at all levels. The first level is the walk-trot riders. So those are the riders who I believe haven't been able to take more than 6 months of lessons at any point in their lives. So they are just starting out, learning how to tack up a horse and put on boots, how to groom a horse, how to interact with the horses. And on a lot of teams, the upper class riders will kind of mentor and support those less experienced riders in addition to the coaching staff. There's 8 riders who ride for the team. Everyone else can generally ride as an individual, from beginning walk-trot riders all the way up through open riders who are traditionally your Meadow McClay kids. And you spend from beginning in classes in the fall till finals in the spring working toward making it to that year's nationals. And basically you get to a horse show, you draw a horse's name out of a hat, you get on it, and you walk in the ring and take it for a spin.
The cool thing about IHSA is the judge has the difficult task of saying who is the best rider, not necessarily who is the best horse. If a rider comes across the middle and changes leads and the horse kicks out. In the IHSA, the judge has the liberty to say that was horse-induced and not penalize the rider, or the rider induced it and hit him with that penalty. You're learning to show through the difficulties how to protect and be ahead of those issues, how to read your animal before your problem happens.
Many of the colleges, like myself and Centenary and Skidmore and so many colleges, get a lot of nice horses donated to us because it's a second life for a horse. These horses have been out in the main world jumping heights that, you know, are extreme. They can't do that anymore. They can come to me and I can tell the owner they're going to jump 3 times a week. You know, it's a life of leisure. And I found that most horses do not love retirement. They like a purpose, especially a good horse. They want to do something. And I've had horses who went from the open division and been down to walk trot, and they still love that kid getting on them in the walk trot and helping them learn.
I'd say I really enjoyed the opportunity to learn how to show all these different types of animals. The horses themselves, you know, there's a few that I enjoyed riding, but you know, they all had their quirks and their little areas where they'd try to get you.
Mercy Park, Tom Brennan for Lynn Allen Rice, 39 in.
I went to a school outside of Boston called Stonehill College. It's a small liberal arts school there. And I really didn't have a working knowledge of IHSA or even horses in college. So I went to the meeting, and that's really where I learned about it. When you went through that door, there were horses and people with like interests and mentors that were eager to give you opportunities. It was a really great experience for me. Predominantly, I operate a training stable with my wife, Tracy, and we have about 25 to 30 horses that we're looking after and training, and we teach lessons, we sell horses, we train horses, we compete them ourselves, set goals for clients.
Tom Brennan, this young man is the epitome of what the IHSA, and I got to give him the credit, he did it for himself, but his opportunities came by riding in on an IHSA team. Now he's a top judge, and he's on so many of the committees that help formulate what is going to happen for the future of the horse industry. He's highly respected and regarded. And I think Tom will tell you that, much of that was due to his early days with the IHSA and what it's meant for him.
I think the IHSA taught me to adapt to horses because you're catch riding. You don't go to the horse show with a horse, so they're individuals just like people, and you can't feed them all the same thing, you can't ride them in all the same bridle, you just can't expect them to react to stimulus the same way as all the other horses. So IHSA is definitely responsible for my comfort level with different types and having compassion too, because if you're only riding a horse for 2 or 3 minutes and you think you're going to be stronger than him, well, he'll tell you you're not pretty quickly. In a lot of ways, I'm no different than the kid that just really liked being around horses and wanted to be around people who liked that too.
We'll go and let him walk around, let him stretch out his legs here a little bit. Big thing I want to have you work on is just make sure when you pick up and ask for him, he's not pulling through your hand. He likes to get a little pushy there. I've been around the IHSA growing up. My brother actually showed for the Ohio State team before me. I knew going to college, horses was an interest, but I wasn't sure it was my only interest. And so I wanted to go to a university where I could get a business degree and was able to still show and compete during college when I couldn't afford to have a horse at the same time. I won 2 individual national championships and 2 individual reserve national championships. It was fun to be a part of a very competitive team. The team's a good way to form bonds and friendships and camaraderie with students, especially when you know the whole college, you're leaving home for the first time. So it helped make it a smaller group of people with a similar interest. So yeah, there's a lot of good opportunities to make friends and support each other through the changes of life at that time. Yeah, go ahead and just trot her. The national concept was really cool. We got a chance to travel all over the country for our semifinals and nationals. So I think it strengthened the passion and kind of pointed me that I enjoyed the competition, and so it kind of drove me a little bit more to proceed after college. I coach a team in the organization called IHSA, which is the Youth Equine Development Association. It's similar to the IHSA. It is a catch ride scenario, just this one is meant for riders all the way as early as 4th grade up to seniors in high school. Go ahead and just move her up to a trot. I think the IHSA definitely helped expand my network, definitely met guys in different sections of the industry, particularly when it came to the coaching that I do with the IHSA group. That looks better. I like to stay with the horses and train horses, mostly for the puzzle of it. I enjoy trying to figure out why is this horse not performing or how can I get him to perform better. Teaching the lessons, I think, I look at it the same way. My thought is if I can make a horse do something, how can I get this rider to be able to do something like that? I'm probably most proud of just the way the business has grown. We've been really blessed. I couldn't do this job without my family. My wife takes care of all the business. I set up my time, so that I can get home and be a dad. Yeah, looks good on you.
I have to put my head up to see.
I am a second-year resident in the anesthesia and pain management service at Cornell University College of Veterinary Medicine. I knew as a freshman in high school that I wanted to be a veterinarian. One of the challenges is finding a good riding school that also has strong enough academics that would prepare me for vet school. So many of the IHSA, strong, competitive IHSA teams have strong academics, and so Mount Holyoke fit that bill to a T. And one of the things I love too about the IHSA is that a culture of academic excellence isn't just said, it's encouraged, it's celebrated. There's the all academic teams, and certainly at Mount Holyoke and with our IHSA team, when we all did our senior symposium presentations, which is when the graduating seniors present their theses, you all went as a team, and you'd look up into the audience and there were these 40 blue shirts all there supporting you as much in the academic arena as we did in the show ring. Two of the seniors, when I was a first year, would take us out running on team workouts, and I wanted them to like me, and I wanted to be like them, so I would always go with them. And so that May, we drove to Woodstock and started this 200-mile overnight relay where the 12 of us each ran 3 different legs. And I remember when we finished, I just had this such overwhelming sense of accomplishment and achievement, and I was hooked. Turned out that spring, I lost my horse, and it was the first time I was without a horse since I was about 5 years old. I lost one of my grandmothers on Christmas Eve, and I lost my other grandmother 6 weeks later in a car accident. And so I was a little bit floundering, and I found comfort in the pavement. You know, I'd go out with some of my teammates and just need to get stuff off my chest, and the road felt like, you know, a place where there was no judgment. It just was kind of this open, safe space that you could be vulnerable, you could be honest and talk about the hard things. On April 15th, 2013, I ran the Boston Marathon, and I had gone in thinking that hopefully I could break 4 hours, but I didn't really know whether I could totally do it. And I had Go Fight Win, which is our team motto, written on my wrist, and I just kept looking at that saying, your team's behind you, your IHSA team is there, go. And thankfully I did, because I ended up finishing 90 seconds before the first bomb detonated. And pushing and thinking of my team kept me safe from being between the 2 blasts. When I joined the team my fall of my freshman year, I started riding in the IHSA as a novice on the flat and intermediate over fences. Because I was always the ship-in kid, I really didn't get an opportunity to do a lot of catch riding and to ride a lot of different horses. And so to go to Mount Holyoke, where all of a sudden I was riding all different types of horses, was really, my riding really took off. Some of the anesthetics I run are scary, and you know, there's a very real risk of my patients dying, and you know, to learn to kind of stay focused and stay in the moment and learning to be comfortable being constantly uncomfortable is something I very much learned from the IHSA, because you can be in the ring riding a horse that doesn't want to cooperate, and you still have to get the job done because that is what you were there to do. And you know, sometimes the judges give you points, but your job in that moment is to get that horse around. And that's now what I do on a daily basis. Is my job is to show up for my surgeons and to show up for my patients.
We have probably the greatest number of young professionals in the industry that have come through the IHSA, both as coaches, barn managers, grooms, in the feed business, veterinarians, in the media industry, you name it, we've got kids there. I travel around a lot, and every office I go into, oh, I rode at Fairleigh Dickinson, or I rode at Yale, or I rode Harvard, or I rode, and they're so proud of where they rode, and they're so grateful for the IHSA experience.
I think it's a good chance for everybody to learn sportsmanship, how to win and lose gracefully, how to put your heart into something, work at something, and accept the outcome at the end of the day, win or lose. You know, I see that a lot with the kids. I think it helps you learn in a easier way of how to handle adversity. When you walk away from the pen, the adversity is gone. I think that prepares you for life in a lot of areas.
The IHSA teaches you so much. It teaches you how to be flexible. It teaches you to kind of ride the horse you're on. All of us have a type, whether it's the go ride, whether it's the whoa ride, and you just kind of have to ride it. And someday your horse is not going to want to cooperate, and some days you're going to lay down the winning trip. And to learn to kind of go with that, I think, is a very valuable life skill. Certainly the importance of teamwork. Traditionally, riding is so much of an individual sport, and it's also a lot about the partnership between you and a specific horse. And what's a little bit different about having an IHSA team is that the constant becomes your team. And whether you're going, home show, at least you get to ride your own horses, but whether that's nationals, whether it's a tournament, whether it's just a local regional show, you're riding all different horses. But the thing that is consistent is that this group of people, your IHSA team, is there on the sidelines. They're cheering you on. They're walking courses with you. They're helping polish boots. They're making sure your stirrups are right, and they're there. They're always there.
Being on a team and being part of something bigger than themselves, it's a twofold benefit. One, it helps them to grow as an individual, get out of their own shell, because you have to work with others. The other side of it is that so many of their classmates and kids who rode on other teams that they became friendly with are now in the industry. And so they intermingle with each other, and they're looking for horses, or somebody's looking for a job. They network, and they're helping the whole horse industry because they're supplying the feed company and the blacksmith and the barn people and the people who give lessons. Maybe they're buying a horse trailer, et cetera, et cetera. So we really have made a huge impact on the horse industry.
For sure, the connections I made at IHSA have helped me. One of the people I met my senior year is who got me my first job in Virginia. It's why I now live down here. And I think you can't help but be around people with the same struggles you have professionally and help each other out. And a lot of those people in my peer group came from the IHSA years.
One of the great aspects of the Intercollegiate is my kid gets off the horse and the next rider from another college is getting ready to get on. And my kid starts telling him how to have a good trip. You don't see that in the horse world. They help each other. They stand on the rail, they talk, they chat, they socialize. We have mixers. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good interaction, healthy interaction between teams. It's a long day, and if you've got any kind of social graces, you're out there talking to kids from other colleges and finding out what their life is like, and you make lifelong friends.
Horse people find each other no matter what. My best friend in the whole wide world is one of my former teammates. We talk on the phone probably once a week. One of my teammates, actually, when I ran Boston in 2019, got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to wish me good luck because she knew that's when my alarm would get up to go start. And you never really leave.
What would I tell someone who's thinking about joining an IHSA is an easy question because I do this all the time. We have young students who are going off to college and they're debating, do they want to try out for an NCAA team or an IHSA team, or do they want to stop riding for a while? And I always encourage them to go into the IHSA. I think it's really well-rounded and I love how it incorporates all levels and it's everywhere. There aren't just 10 or 15 schools that do it. There are hundreds and hundreds of schools that do it. So almost no matter where they go, they can experience that.
I would strongly recommend that you look into the IHSA and look into the program. It's a great opportunity for you to compete while on a budget, most likely. The camaraderie, like bringing that college setting and making it a little bit smaller, it was really nice, especially when there's a lot of people at college with not the same interest as you. Kind of helps you get a little bit more in that same network. The time I had in IHSA had a lot of great memories through my college, and it was kind of cool to be able to tell my friends walking around campus I was a national champion for the Ohio State University.
I think my best IHSA memory is watching my best friend win nationals in the open over fences and knowing the work that she'd put in and having lived with her day in, day out. And both of us that year, we were writing our honors theses. We graduated with high honors, magna cum laude, and we were both working our tails off. And to watch her win that year was like one of the highlights of my entire IHSA career because I rode every single step of that course with her.
There are so many stories you hear about friendships that are found between an open rider and a walk trot kid on the same team that would never have ever been in the same area at a horse show. They wouldn't have made this connection. But through the love of the horse and being on a team, that relationship is built and grown and stayed with them for life. IHSA is diverse by our nature because we are really an organization who only cares about any college student having the opportunity to ride. So it's natural that we have people of different color and we have people of different orientations and religions. We try and do everything we possibly can to make it possible for anybody who has the desire to ride.
I really think the biggest takeaway for me was to see value in every level. Whereas some sports, when you get to the highest levels of college, they only want the best. And IHSA has a place for everyone to compete against people of like experience. And that's unique. Seeing value in every level is part of why our business is so eclectic, why we have riders who are just learning how to ride and riders who can, jump a 4-foot course. IHSA isn't just about horses and horse showing. You're around people that have something in common, but it improves your collegiate experience outside of the barn too. And you get exposed to people you never would have met. And that diverse group that you're around is fantastic.
So to me, the legacy of the IHSA is we continue on the path that our founders put us on, and on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, we are working with people to help them succeed in, not just the horse world, but as coaches, we're hoping and helping them succeed as individuals and become successful, helpful people to others. And that's a lesson that, every young person should learn, that it's not just about me. It's about us. And if you can be part of a community, you're going to be a better individual for it. And I think we teach that.